Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the People's Mirror. Now, right now, this evening, it will be a few minutes later by the time we'll have uploaded this particular episode. But this very evening, there is a burial that is taking place in Kathiaini in Machakos County. And this particular burial is being attended by the United Opposition members, including Honorable Gachagua, of course, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, and Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. Now, we want to put before the mirror some of the statements that have been made out of this particular meeting, including statements that have been made by Wavinya, who is the county governor of Machakos County, where this particular burial is taking place. And the statements that Wavinya is now saying, stemming from this particular conversation that has been going on in the Kenyan political scene in the past 24 to 48 hours, of course, the Somali people and the rest of the country, the rest of the republic. Now, this is not a very, very good conversation that has been going on, because, of course, you can stem it to what is going on in the world, including the Minnesota fraud that, of course, we detailed here at the People's Mirror, and the fact that some of this money has since now found its way into this particular republic, building a mall in Isili, as per the statements of Gachagua, and, of course, now building affordable houses and doing things, including campaigns for the UDA government. Now, recently, as recent as yesterday, Gachagua made statements that were concerning this particular group of individuals that come from the northeastern part that receive money in affirmative action, yet they are not doing much when it comes to the education sector of their respective counties. Now, in that particular statement, Honorable Gachagua said that this particular section of Muslims, I call them the Somalis, should now leave the confines of South Sea and ECD and go back to their respective regions and actually build those particular regions. Now, there's a statement that has been made by Honorable Wavinya, and of course, Wavinya is pro the United Opposition, but this particular statement being made by politicians could be addressing the elephant in the room while also still attacking the side that they are from. And we just want to play this audio on what she's saying when it comes to antagonizing communities before we comment on it and we go further with this particular analysis. Let's listen to what she said.
Kuna watu wanataka makanisa tofauti wapigane, ama kabila tofauti different sides waanze kupigana. Sasa huyu ni mtu na muone mbali. Mimi nataka muone mbali sana. Hebu oneni mbali. Huyu ni mtu anataka kuanza vita ya Waislamu na Wakristo.
Of course, now that is what Wavinya is telling the people in Machakos County, where both Gachagua is present with the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. But from the take of Honorable Wavinya, it's like look forward and have a very good eyesight when you're taking a look at politicians that are now antagonizing one community against the other. Now, she sits at the United Opposition camp, and of course, I understand that very well, and she's with the Wiper Democratic, of course, Front, the Wiper Patriotic Front, which was formerly the Wiper Democratic Party. But in this side of her statement that she's making this very evening in Machakos, she's asking the Machakos people to look and have a very good eyesight when it comes to individuals that want to antagonize the Christians against the Muslims, and of course also want to incite tribes against tribes. Now, whether she's speaking against the government and the policies of the government when it comes to that much, at this particular juncture, it seems very, very clearly that this speech is aimed at what happened yesterday, or rather linking this particular speech to what happened yesterday when Gachagua was addressing the issue of the Somalis. Now, this issue has not been taken positively by the camp that do not support the United Opposition, saying that such statements might antagonize the country moving into the Moja polls in 2027, because every Kenyan has a right to reside anywhere in this particular country and to do business anywhere in this particular country. And now calling for a community to exit the confines of the city, being the capital of the entire city for everyone, that is Isili, and of course this particular part of the South Bay and South Sea that the former deputy president was talking about, and go back to their respective regions, is of course going against the doctrines and the wordings of the constitution. Now, whether Honorable Wavinya is speaking to this effect or she's speaking to something else is yours to actually make a conclusion upon. on, but further on into her speech, just a bit that I want you to listen to again, she's having this conversation of comparing between a donkey and of course a tiger. And the comparison is that a donkey tells a tiger, for example, that the grass is blue, and then the tiger goes ahead and tells the donkey that the grass is green. Now, because they are in conflict, they decide to go to the lion and of course have a decision on whether the grass is green or blue. Now, towards the end of this particular analogy that she gives, there's a very interesting take that she gives, and before we interpret it, let us just listen to it from herself.
Donkey engoi, a donkey ilisimama na tiger. Donkey kaambia tiger, hii nyasi ni blue. Na yeye tiger akamwambia, wewe ngoi, wewe donkey, hii nyasi ni nini? Ni green. Sasa hao wawili wakaanza kuargue. A tiger is a very powerful animal. Si ndio? Tiger is very powerful. Ana argue na ngoi. Ana argue na nini? Na na punda. Ana argue na nini? Na punda. Punda vile anafanyanga mdomo yake nje anamwambia, anapunda anamwambia, hii nyasi wewe, hii nyasi ni nini? Ni blue. Na yeye tiger anang'anita, babu eti hapana, the grass is green. Wakasema twende kwa king. Na mfalme ni lion. Wakaenda. Punda akakimbia mbele kwa mfalme. Akamwambia mfalme, unajua mimi namwambia huyu tiger hii nyasi ni blue na yeye anasema ni green. Wewe unafikiriaje? King, si nyasi ni blue. Simba akasema, ndio, nyasi ni nini? Ni blue. Alafu punda akamwambia nini? Akamwambia king, you must punish. Lazima upunish nini? Tiger. Kwa sababu sasa umeamua nyasi ni ya nini? Ni ya blue, sio ya nini? Sio ya green. Sasa punda akafanya nini? Akatoka hapo kama amefurahi sana, amekimbia, ameshinda nani? Tiger. Tiger akamuuliza, tiger akabaki hapo akauliza king, wewe king, hebu nikuulize. Unajua vizuri. Hebu nikuulize king, nyasi ni rangi gani?
Now, after going on with that entire analogy of the donkey and the tiger, and whoever it's the donkey and the tiger in this story now, if you understand the position that Wavinya is speaking from, is of course left to our audience to decipher. But this is the interesting part. She's giving an analogy of two animals. One is a donkey. Use this as a metaphor within the Kenyan political scene. And then another one that she's talking about is a tiger. Now, the tiger and the donkey are complaining about the color of the grass, because the donkey has said the grass is of course blue, and the tiger is saying that the grass is of course green. Now they decide to go to the lion to make a decision, but donkey goes ahead of course to the lion before the tiger gets there. We're just giving this as an analogy of individuals that rush to of course make decisions for the Kenyan people from the positions where they sit before others are given an equal opportunity to do that. Whether you're making that analogy from the government side or from the united opposition side, that's an individual interpretation. But the donkey rushes to the lion, and once the donkey rushes to the lion, as per the statements of Honorable Wavinya, the donkey asks the lion the color of the grass, or tells the lion rather that the grass is blue, yet this tiger hapa anasema that this grass is actually green. So in the melee, lion says okay, the grass is blue, and decides to make this decision against the tiger in favor of the donkey. But now listen to the part where now the lion is punishing the donkey after the donkey has had a conversation with the lion. The Kenyan political scene is getting interesting right now, moving into 2027, and these analogies are one of the things that are making the Kenyan political scene interesting. Let us listen to the end of our interpretation.
Simba akamwambia ni green. Sasa tiger akamuuliza Simba, wewe mbona unataka kunipunish? What do you want? No, baadaye alipanishiwa kabla hajamuuliza alimpunish. Akamwambia sasa wewe tiger, kwa sababu punda amesema nikupunish, I must punish you. Miaka 5 bila kufanya nini? Kuongea. Miaka 5, punishment yako ni miaka 5 bila nini? Kuongea. Tiger akarudia hivyo. Sasa akauliza king, why do you Why do you want to punish me? Unataka kunipunish kwa nini? Na umeniambia saa hii nyasi ni nini? Ni green. Akamwambia, hey, you know, I do not expect a powerful animal like you, full of integrity, full of nini? Strength, kuargue na nini? Na punda. That is why I've punished you for 5 years to keep quiet. What am I trying to tell you? Some of these people, let us not argue with them.
That marks the end of the anology of the governor of Machakos County, Honorable Wavinya, who now says that some of these people, let us not argue with them, and that is the reason why she gave a full analogy of of course, the donkey and the tiger. Now, the way you interpret that in the Kenyan political scene, who is the donkey? Who is the tiger? Please let us know from the comment section who Wavinya could be advising to stop speaking to who, and who is the tiger and the donkey in this story, but most importantly, who is the lion. Now, from the minutes of that particular coverage, from the comment section on the live minutes coverage from that particular scene, you can see a lot of reaction coming up from it. Individuals saying Kalonzo Musyoka is the best for this country, Ruto ni mkora na ni mungu mkubwa. Other individual called Kioko Sami has also said yes, ambiwa Munyoro about vita, anajua 2027 itakuwa Christmas. Wavinya pia una support corruption, shame on you. That is from Stephen Kioko again. Anjoroge says one time mpaka last minute. Rigi, have you enjoyed my tarmac? There is part of this particular so there is a point where he gets into this particular coverage where Wavinya asks Honorable Rigathi Gachagua whether or not he has felt her tarmac, saying that hers is real. Now, this is being taken out of context in the comment section of that particular live coverage, where individuals now feel that when Wavinya pulled that particular line, she was trying to side back to the conversation of roads that have been going on between, of course, her party leader, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, and Honorable President William Ruto on who built the roads in Ukambani. So that roads talk just came at that particular time when that coverage is going on. Later on, we're going to put before the mirror, of course, the statements that are going to come out of Kalonzo Musyoka and Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, also very, very present in that particular gathering as they speak it, so that you find it here at the People's Mirror as it happens. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, there is also another story that has happened just a few hours ago, not as live as this one, where now the party leader of the Orange Democratic Party, Honorable Oburu Odinga, also used an opportunity to respond to Babu Owino and the likes of individuals that have called for the National Delegates Conference of the ODM party to discuss the future of the party. But of course, before Mr. Oburu Odinga asked for this particular National Delegates Conference, which now he says he is very confident he will call, and the people will decide whether it's Oburu Odinga or not, having said very categorically, Mr. Oburu Odinga has said that if there is anyone that is going to be in that particular ballot with the ODM ticket, then the party leader is still Oburu Odinga. Now, you remember, this is what is bringing conflict. At one hand, Oburu Odinga is saying that there is no conversation on a presidential candidate of 2027. We have spent a lot of time detailing this, and he says that they are now going forward with a coalition, conversations of a coalition, asking for a strengthened party, for the party to be strong ahead of this very, very coalition. You remember, when most ODM members are being asked what is really the position that you are fighting Honorable Sifuna for being contrary to, then they do not give a solid position, saying that the party leader has not given that direction. Now, in the statements that were made by Oburu yesterday, he did not only agree to actually convene this particular National Delegates Conference to put an end on these questions of the legitimacy of his election, but he also offered, of course, to say that this particular party is discussing strong coalition conversation, beginning with the broad-based arrangement where they are right now, and if the broad-based arrangement does not go their way, then they will open way to negotiate with the other parties. Now, Mr. Odinga said that this particular party is already in those conversations and has set up a team to gear these particular conversations of coalition moving forward, but primarily, of course, they will start with the broad-based government. Now, that seems as the party position, but he has said 2026 will put an end to all this, so that if they are not going the coalition way, then they will decide decided whether or not they're going alone. But if they're going alone, then he is still the man to go forward with. Now let's listen to a bit of his speech on that particular extent, on what he said yesterday, before we go on with this particular analysis.
This team will negotiate, and this negotiation will start with our current partners in the broad-based arrangement. We shall start negotiations with them. We shall only go to the others if we don't agree or if we don't conclude this one first. But those who are saying that Oburu is not validly elected, I challenge them. If they say it is NDC, let us go with them to NDC. I will call it very soon. And we are working with President Ruto in this broad-based arrangement, and we want to see that in the short time remaining, our people gain as much as they should. Their rightful share, which they have been denied for many years, should now come to them. My people must get their rightful share. Government is big, we are not taking their shares.
That is what is said, that the government is big and walking into that government does not take anyone's share, saying that the biggest thing is to ensure that the people get their rightful share. Now, Oburu Odinga, who said that he was also the chairman during the time that the broad-based arrangement elected people like Opiyo Wandayi and gave them an opportunity to serve in the government, including what he now says, a total of how many PSS? 14 PSS and CSS that came as a result of this particular arrangement. He was the chairperson of the broad-based arrangement. Now, these statements were coming as a result of the fact that while ODM was meeting at ODM at 20, Honorable Wavinya Odinga downplayed the fact that there is no other person that can actually, of course, oversee the implementation of the broad-based arrangement after the death of Raila Odinga. Now, Oburu certifies himself as fit enough to oversee this particular decision, saying that by the time that these particular meetings were happening, even prior to the demise of Raila Odinga, he was actively involved. He was the chairperson and he has been there, so there is no other person that is fit to oversee this implementation other than himself. Let us listen deep into what he said concerning that.
This broad-based arrangement, I want to assure those who are saying that it was only Raila who could handle it, who does not know anything about it. I want to tell them that all the meetings of the broad-based arrangement with Ruto, the chairman has been this man called Oburu Odinga before you here. I have been the chairman of all them, including the ones which appointed Opiyo to the cabinet, appointed Bani, and appointed all our people, including Wakina Joho and everybody. And I want to tell you that we have currently 14 PSS in this government. We have 14 PSS. And we also have directors. So we got into this government by accident because the government was shaken by DLC. And we got into this government through the back door.
Of course, that is that much. So he says, of course, further, that they got into this particular government through the back door by what he terms as an accident, because the government as it was of course shaken by the Gen Zs, as per Honorable Oburu Odinga, and so there was need for the ODM party to walk in and help stabilize the government. Now, that particular arrangement that they used to get into power, now he terms as a backdoor entry and an entry through the window. Now, he has committed that moving into the future, and of course, the future is the 2027 elections. Now they want to enter through the front door, making sure that they are in government and not in opposition, and this time through negotiations. These negotiations, he says, he is going to oversee them, and whereas the people might think he's weak, Oburu Odinga now says that he's going to ensure that they are not very easy negotiation when they are talking about coalition, so that if it goes positive, then the share that they will have in government will be their rightful share, but if it goes negative, of course, then they will explore the way of going alone, and going alone will only have him as the presidential flag bearer. Let us listen to him to that end.
But now I'm telling you, you people, that as we approach 2027, we are not going to get into a government through the back door. We are going to get in through the front door through a negotiated arrangement. And this negotiated arrangement will be headed by me. And I'm telling you that it is not going to be a very easy negotiation. It is going to be a tough negotiation, and we are going to get what our share should be. And this share of ours depends on you people. It depends on your unity.
Yeah, as he concluded before saying that he is very, very open to have the NDC, if it calls for it, to put an end to the legitimacy questions of course, his leadership. He said that the strength of the negotiation in that particular table come 2027 is based on the supporters of the ODM people. He called the ODM supporters not to only be supporters, but take an active role within the party, including being party members, saying that if they are strong in this negotiation table in 2027, then the nature of the negotiation will also be strong. But should they be weak in terms of numbers by the fact that the people are not members of this party or not affiliated to this party, that even the negotiation that they will have on this particular table in 2027 will also be weak. So he said that the people, the members of the ODM party and the supporters are the actual mirror of how this 2027 and 2026, of course, because he said that this negotiation should be concluded before the end of 2026. So that particular involvement will determine how this negotiation goes. Now let us listen to what he said to that end.
It depends on your membership of the party. I'm asking you people, don't join ODM, don't just be a supporter. Be a member of the party and strengthen the party. If the party is strong, we are also strong. And we shall also negotiate hard because we are strong. If the party is weak, we are also weak. And we are going to negotiate from a point of weakness. I must tell you, my people, that I announced at the beginning of this year. And this is clear. We don't want to go this way, that way. We have said clearly that this year, 2025, fixed. 2026 is the year of negotiations for any arrangement. Either we are going in partnership with the UDA or any other, or we are going alone as ODM. And if we are going alone as ODM, Oburu Odinga is the presidential candidate.
Now that keeps boiling. Sido Odinga keeps also calling shots within this party, saving Sifuna and Babu Wino, saying that the success of him rising to be the party leader of the ODM party is based on, among other things, the fact that he's confident that the Raila Odinga family will support him should he decide to vie for that within the National Delegate Conference meeting. Oburu Odinga still holds that if there is any person that will be in the ballot in 2027 with the ODM presidential candidate, then it will be none other than Oburu Odinga himself. Keep it here, the People's Mirror, and please watch our next episode as we uncover for you what is coming from Machakos County from now the mouths of these two co-principals of the United Opposition that until now have both declared their need to become the president of this country in 2027. It's been interesting recapping for you those particular statements from Wavinya and of course from Oburu Odinga. Until our next episode.